Have you ever noticed how some men carry a presence so powerful that they don't need to explain themselves, overshare their lives, or beg for validation? And yet people can't stop thinking about them. These men are not loud. They are not desperate. They're not chasing attention. Instead, they embody something much more rare: silence, self-control, and mystery. And here's the paradox. When a woman can't read you, when she can't quite pin down who you are or what you're thinking, something happens inside her mind. Curiosity grows, and curiosity, over time, turns into fascination. Fascination turns into obsession. This video is not about playing manipulative games. It's about harnessing timeless principles, rooted in psychology and Stoic philosophy, that naturally make you magnetic. We're diving deep into why unpredictability is attractive, why silence is powerful, why emotional restraint is rare, and why presence itself can create a gravitational pull. If you've ever wanted to understand why mystery is irresistible, or how to become the man who doesn't need to chase but still draws people in, stay locked in, because this is where it all comes together. 1. The mystery she can't solve. We live in a world of oversharing. Social media has made it normal for people to broadcast every detail of their lives: what they had for breakfast, every random thought, every complaint, every emotion. Everyone is an open book, and that's exactly why true mystery stands out like fire in the dark. When you choose not to hand over every piece of yourself, when you hold back, not from coldness, but from grounded self-respect, you create an itch in her mind. She starts replaying conversations, analyzing your expressions, trying to decode what's happening beneath the surface. And the more she can't figure it out, the more her focus sharpens on you. This is simple human psychology. The brain is wired to seek closure. When it can't close a loop, it fixates. You become that unfinished puzzle she can't put down. Here's where Stoicism comes in. A Stoic man knows his inner world is sacred. He doesn't hand it out recklessly. He speaks when it matters. He acts with intention. He lets silence breathe. He knows that attention is a currency, and not everyone deserves to spend it. Now imagine this. You're in conversation with her. She expects you to reveal everything, to fill every gap. But you don't. You pause. You let your presence speak. And in that pause, she starts wondering, why doesn't he rush? Why doesn't he overshare? What is he thinking? What would it take for him to truly open up? The more she wonders, the more invested she becomes. And here's the paradox. The less you chase her attention, the more she chases yours. Not because you're withholding out of manipulation, but because you are living with intention, guided by your own compass. And in a world addicted to noise, that calm restraint is irresistible. 2. Silence that speaks volumes. Most men panic in silence. They rush to fill every pause with jokes, reassurance, or meaningless chatter. They equate quiet with failure. But silence, when embraced, becomes a weapon. A man who can sit in silence without fidgeting, without scrambling for words, communicates something rare: comfort in his own skin. That calm unsettles her in the best way. It forces her to lean in, to watch you closer, to study the details. What are you thinking? Why aren't you rushing? Why is he so composed? Psychology shows that uncertainty triggers curiosity. Uncertainty keeps the mind engaged. When she can't predict your next word or next move, she can't put you down like a finished book. She has to keep turning the pages. Picture this. You're sitting across from her at dinner. The conversation pauses. Most men would break the silence immediately. You don't. You sip your drink. You glance at the room. Then you meet her eyes, steady, calm. You didn't say a word, but you communicated everything. That you're confident, that you're not desperate, that you don't fear stillness. Stoicism reminds us, silence isn't emptiness. It's strength. It's choosing not to react to every impulse. And when you carry that discipline, silence becomes magnetic. Because in the quiet, her mind works overtime. And the more her mind invests in you, the stronger the connection becomes. 3. Emotional self-control is magnetic. Let's talk about emotional control. In today's world, people react instantly. Someone says something, they snap back. Someone posts online, they fire off a comment. Most men are slaves to impulse. But not you. You take a breath. You process. You respond with intention, or sometimes you don't respond at all. That restraint alone sets you apart. Because when you're not easily provoked, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability fuels fascination. Imagine this. She teases you, expecting you to defend yourself or get flustered. Instead, you smile. Calm, grounded. You don't give her the emotional reaction she was fishing for. That one moment disrupts her entire pattern. She can't figure you out. She can't control the frame. And suddenly she's intrigued. This is classic Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you can't control what happens, but you can always control your response. That's where true power lies. Women notice this. A man who isn't tossed around by praise or insult, who doesn't break when tested, who enjoys joy, but doesn't cling to it. That man radiates strength. That man stands out. And when she realizes she can't predict your next emotional move, her curiosity deepens. She starts replaying moments, wondering, what does he really feel? What would it take to reach him? That mystery grows until it consumes her attention. 4. The power of ambiguous presence. Being present doesn't mean being predictable. You can be warm, engaging, and attentive, but without clinging. That balance creates tension. Here's how it looks. You make her laugh, your eyes lock with hers, and for a moment, she feels the spark. Then instead of hovering, you shift. You talk to someone else. You stand back, at ease in your own company. You give her a taste, then you return to your own rhythm. This rhythm, close enough to feel, distant enough to miss, drives her mind wild. Most men smother when they want attention, or they retreat completely when unsure. But you do neither. You flow like a tide, sometimes near, sometimes far, always present, never clinging. This is the way of the Stoic warrior, rooted, intentional, impossible to throw off balance. He connects without losing himself. He gives without emptying himself. His value is not dependent on anyone's reaction. And that's exactly why his presence feels like a privilege, not a guarantee. When she realizes your presence is not something she can claim, but something she must earn, obsession begins. Because gifts are treasured, guarantees are taken for granted. 5 actions that don't match her assumptions. Now let's talk about surprise. Not in the dramatic sense, but in growth. Maybe she knew you as the man who replied instantly, the man who canceled his own plans for her, the man she could predict like clockwork. But now you've changed. You respond when it fits your rhythm. You keep your commitments. You go to the gym. You build your vision. You protect your solitude. You don't bend your life around her validation. This is where obsession begins. Because she remembers the old you. She remembers the predictability. And now she sees someone evolving, someone she can't quite pin down anymore. That unpredictability forces her curiosity back onto you. A Stoic doesn't live reactively. He doesn't let moods or external expectations control his path. His compass points inward, toward his principles. And when your life is guided that way, your evolution becomes magnetic. This isn't rebellion, it's growth. You're not rejecting her assumptions. You're outgrowing them. And when she sees that, her certainty cracks. Her old map of you no longer works. And that gap between what she thought and what she sees now, that's where curiosity breeds obsession. 6. You're not an open book by choice. Let's be clear. Being private is not the same as being secretive. Privacy is self-respect. Privacy is knowing that your inner world is valuable, and not everyone deserves instant access. Most men spill everything in hopes of closeness. They think constant openness will guarantee love. But in reality, oversharing creates predictability, and predictability kills intrigue. You've chosen differently. You reveal yourself deliberately, selectively, intentionally. Each story, each opinion, each vulnerable moment carries weight because it's rare, because it's earned. And here's what happens. She replays your words. She searches for hidden meanings. She wonders, why did he share that and not more? Why do I want to know the rest so badly? That's the pull of mystery. That's the obsession of an unfinished story. A Stoic doesn't live to be fully understood by others. He lives to be aligned with his principles. His truth doesn't need constant explanation. And when you live this way, when you choose not to be an open book, you force her to keep turning the pages, hoping one day she'll unlock the rest. Closing line. And that's the paradox. The less she can read you, the more she wants to. Not because you're hiding, not because you're playing games, but because you're living as a man of intention, discipline, and mystery. In a world addicted to noise and desperate for attention, that kind of presence is rare. And what is rare becomes irresistible. So remember this, when she can't read you, she doesn't forget you. She becomes obsessed.